Well, good evening. It's 9:22 p.m. on January the 23rd, 22nd, Monday. Should have known that. It's warmed up. We're above freezing, warming up even more as, the next week. Now, that's welcome news to me because I don't like it cold anymore. I don't know about you. I've always envied the birds, the geese, and whatever else, Head south for the winter, warmer weather. To heck with it, That's a smart thing to do. They know what to do. So, they say, as far as the birds, well, maybe they know what they're talking about. I can't forget about talking about, I've done in my last couple of podcasts and videos, but the idea that, the thing that's bringing it on to a lot of people now is all these threats of global warming, and you can't do this, you can't do that, and we have to save the planet. That is, if you stop and think about it, that does not compute. This planet has been here for, I don't know, millions of years, I suppose. I don't know. The actual planet. Human beings haven't, of course. They haven't been there very long. They're here for a purpose, as far as I can understand. And then, sounds like this is a disposable planet. But it's going to be renewed. New and better. I mean, it's fine for people to go around wondering where they came from and all that stuff. People who claim to be educated people. I think a lot of times they have the biggest problem. Their mind can't handle ordinary truth. And, I've said this before, that it took me a long time to realize that the only truth in this universe, not just this world, is what God has said and what Jesus Christ has said, and what their apostles have been led to say, and all the people that have been directed. The thing is, a lot of people, and getting to be more all the time, poo-poo the idea of God and the Bible and whatever. But the thing is, it's a book that is, it's not like any other book. It's a book of books. It's a library, actually, of, what is it? I don't know, 65 books or something. 32,000 verses, whatever. It's a lot. And there's many who have said that it's a book like no other because it's basically, they say it is the contents of this book are from outside of this planet, and it's given to this planet. And you can say what you like, but that's something to really think about, because let's face it, this is a planet. People were created on this planet because we're here. We're here. You see us all around. And we're here for a purpose. People, I've known since I was 15 years old. It came on me, I just started thinking about that, and I remember that why we're here, and I realized that we were here to make a decision. And a yes or no, or I believe this, or I believe that. And I don't know why I was led to believe that or whatever, but I did. Now, there's all kinds of people wandering around. I have a problem. My own children basically were led astray by my wife, who was a non-believer. And she wouldn't say anything in front of me, but behind my back, more or less, she would poo-poo the idea of anything about Jesus Christ or God or anything with my kids, because I couldn't get them to even go to Sunday school. And it's too bad, because now they're secular, and it's too bad, because what it means is that what's the idea of having a family? For what purpose? You bring up a family, or you have a family for destruction? Is that it? I don't think that's a very good plan. And how that can happen, I don't know. For someone who was such a good mother and a good cook and a good this and a good that, very good looking, beautiful woman, and was liked by a lot of people. But she had a streak in her that she wouldn't say to anybody or let them know, but it was there. And it was a very hard streak that she inherited from her father, because her father was a poo-poo guy too, And that didn't work very good in his family. So, I don't know. It's a sad case when that happens. But the thing is, I know that it's that my situation is absolutely not unique, because I see it all around. People are secular as heck. They don't believe in anything. They just believe in getting a pension, getting some money, mostly money. Want to get money, and they want to have to enjoy their life and become more and more selfish. And they've really gotten selfish now. Young people, they don't realize it, how selfish they've gotten, but they've gotten selfish. My son brought over a little border collie pup. He bought two of them. $1,200 a piece. He brought one over the mail over here to the old folks home where I'm living, rest home, to show me. And a nice pup. There's no question about it. They are cute. They are very nice pups. And the reason is, he said, I'll bring the other one over to show you too. Blah 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 blah. Well, why? Well, because they're not married. They've been living together for, 30 years, 40 years. And they don't want kids. She doesn't want any kids, so he goes along with it. And basically, the idea was, I don't want any rugrats, messing up my life. That's it. And so what kind of a life is that? And to say anything to them brings an end to any relationship we have as a family. That's what would happen. That's happened with my daughter. You're not allowed to say anything to people nowadays. Even, they don't. The trouble is, there's a penalty for that. I don't put a penalty on it. It was not my idea. God has put a penalty on that. That if they dishonor their mother or their father, they're liable not to have a very good long life. Things won't go that good at the most likely towards the end it'll be pretty tough. And what am I supposed to do about that? I can ask for God for exemption. I don't know. The only way he would do it is because they're my family. That'd be the only reason. It wouldn't be because they've done anything. But anyway, that's the hard part of life. It's not really good to have a family go through life and face the idea that it's all in vain because there's no hope for them. I mean, I believe that Christ came here. I believe that God had a plan and is carrying out a plan, and that we're living in this plan, and the plan is going to go ahead exactly as he has it. Now, if this plan was run through once before, or if this is if we're acting out the plan exactly day by day as it exists in the mind of God, it's possible. And, he calls it his will. Well, yes, it is his will. He is the owner of the universe. And he says that the cattle on 1,000 hills are mine. All the gold is mine. All the human beings on the planet are mine. Now you could say, well, what kind of a deal is that? You have to remember, we are part of a plan that God is, he's directing it all the way. And basically, what did he say? He said, let us make man in our image and in our likeness. He didn't say make him the same as we are. We might look the same, but we're not the same. And we have a span of what he's created life. People, I don't stop and think about it very often, but I'm sure most people don't really actually think about what life is. It's created. He creates life with a plan, with a system. And it's not to be forever. There's a time limit on how long it's going to go. And he basically says that he wants to create sons. Well, he said Jesus Christ is the first of many, many sons. When he says many, what is that? 50,000? 500,000? 500 million? Billions? God does not exaggerate. Not one word does he exaggerate. He says, I will create a new heaven and a new earth. He didn't say, I've got to create a great big, much bigger earth than is here now, because the city that I've built for my sons that I'm putting on this planet is going to be too big for the planet as it exists. It's too small. He didn't say all that. He just said, I'll be creating a planet, give the exact size of it. Where did I come from? Read the book. He's plain language. He says exactly where you come from and where you're going. And what's going to happen to you if you break his law. If you break his law, this is the law for the whole universe that can't be broken. It is. He's the only one that makes this law. And he says if you break it, the penalty is automatic. There's no judge and jury. It's automatic. You die. Is death. But he knew he made you and I with this business that we have free will, and we can decide if we want to go to the right or to the left. And that's where the problem comes in. It's very hard for us to be to live a life that is similar to his nature. And it's hard to do for us. So he had to make a way that we could avoid that death penalty by paying it in advance for all of us, for everybody. That if they accepted his deal, his plan, and his offer, they would be exempt from the penalty. They would live in a new world with no physical body anymore, a spiritual body, a perfect body that needs nothing, doesn't need food, water, whatever, and you're awake and whatever continually. There's no night. It's only day. And there, God and Jesus are there, and there's not even any sun and moon or anything. They are the light in this huge, humongous city on a huge planet. Huge planet. It'll have to be like 360 times bigger than it is now. He didn't say how big it was going to be. He just said, I'm going to create a new heaven and a new earth. Well, that in itself is something. I mean, what is that going to be? You know? And what are we going to be doing? We'll most likely have jobs of some kind. There'll be something that most likely we're responsible to do, and we'll most likely be more than happy to do it. To explore, to do, to build, to judge, to run, because, you know, the whole thing piles up into one big question mark like this is eternity. We can't figure out eternity. It's to me, there's no time. The way I look at it, and there'll be no time. And that says that the time will be no more. Everything will be like on the tip of this pen. That little tip right there. It'll all be on that and always on that. And if wherever that moves, that's what you're living in. And it's now, before and after is all now. There is no yesterday and tomorrow, it's all now. There's no morning and there's no afternoon. That is my speculation, so don't take it. I mean, I don't know, but I think about things and that's what best that I can come up with. But I'm not saying that's right at all. It could be wrong. Things like that, I have I can't figure that out. If it's something that comes to me, maybe it comes from somewhere else. I don't know. Yeah, it's It's a wonderful world if you don't weaken. Yeah, this world is going to, running out. It has its time span, that's for sure. And people say, well, is the world going to end or what? Of course it's going to end. Don't know when exactly. I mean, people have been talking about this for thousands of years. And it is that kind of a deal. But it is winding down. And I mean, people realize that, things are getting worse and deadlier and, like evil, killing and whatever, and lying and cheating and whatever. And it's getting worse and worse, and it will get worse. We think it's bad now. We really do think it's bad with killing babies and abortion, gay and lesbian people doing things that God hates, but we don't realize that it's going to get worse and worse. It'll get so bad that it can't get any worse. I don't think God's going to stop until it does, until it's absolutely imploding on itself, and he has to stop it before it wipes everybody out. That's what he says he has to do. And that's all like cards. Just think of the difference between even in a short period of time, like the First World War, and then what happened in the Second World War. Totally different than the First World War. Not much better at killing people. And that's like, 60 years ago or more? We've improved greatly since then. We can kill each other behind a computer desk with a satellite deal. And by diseases and things like that. That's most likely coming down the pike. What you do know is, he said there'll be a 7-year tribulation. He called it Jacob's trouble. Now, Jacob is the family of Jacob. That's 12 sons of Jacob, the 12 tribes of Israel. Say what you like. I'm sitting here looking at myself in the screen, and I realize that I'm a white-skinned person. And where did I come from? Well, when I look into it and whatever else, I must have come from the tribes of Israel somehow. In my case, my grandfather came from Sweden. My dad came from Sweden. They're all white people in Sweden. Their history book said that, I forget what his name was, Baruch or something. He was a writer or of some kind who kept track of things. And he traveled through, he took this girl with her, princess with him, traveled through Central Europe at that time, with all big rivers and water. He traveled from Israel right through the middle of Europe, right into the Baltic and into Scandinavia. And he had this girl with him, and he was an Israelite tribe. I forget what tribe, but and he worked his way down from there into the British Isles and into Ireland and Scotland. But for some reason, this girl became the wife of this chief. I forget who his name was, but he was I think an Irish chief or something. And he married her. He was her queen. And escapes me now what her name was, but it was they know the names. Tara, is it, or something, in Ireland. And then, of course, into Scotland and into England. And all these immigrants and whatever that traveled through Europe in 2,520 years in Western Europe, all over the place, multiplying and multiplying for 2,520 years, ending up overloading England, Scotland, Ireland, Scandinavian countries and whatever, and they were multiplying till about the 16th, 17th century. All of a sudden, boom, there's 2,525 years, 20 years were up that God put a hold on Abraham's promise to Abraham that his descendants would have this, that, and land and riches and wealth. But when that happened, it was like all of Europe woke up and they're building big things and steam engines and ships and railroads and kinds of stuff. Not in North America, and all kinds of small tribes roaming all over North America for thousands of years. They never built a road, never built nothing. They built a fire and cooked some deer meat, maybe. And anyway, the promise was that they were going to have the Israelite race of Abraham were going to get the wealth and whatever. Now, I didn't arrange this. You didn't arrange this. But the white race got all the best land on the planet. That's who had it. It's diluted now, but they had it. And all the wealth comes from the land in one way or the other. Now, that cycle has gone through. They've had, the white race has had the most wealth and the most power and the best armies and whatever for, I don't know, 300-400 years now. Now it's going to go this way. And it's called Jacob's trouble. They created wealth, they became wealthy, they became rich, and then they became evil. Broke all his laws, they didn't worship him anymore, didn't believe in him. Not all, but the majority is getting that way, and now it's getting a bigger majority all the time. And he says they're going to have to pay for doing this. And there's going to be the wrath of God is going to happen for, well, in most cases it's going to end up being 3.5 years. He said this. He said that the Antichrist will take over this world and bamboozle. He'll deal with Israel first and make them a promise. Then at the end of 3.5 years, he breaks his promise and clamps down on everything in the whole world. And the tribulation starts. And that's when everything hits the fan. Disease, wars, natural deals, volcanoes, hurricanes, earthquakes, sun, hail. God uses all natural things. Doesn't have armies and ships doesn't need them. But people wonder, do you think this is the end of the world? Why do they say that? It's not the end of the world yet. We know when the end of the world will happen. That will be exactly 7 years after the tribulation starts. And if we keep our eyes open and figure things out, we'll know approximately when it starts. And then it's 7 years after that Christ returns. It says, whoa. Defeats all these big armies. Basically destroys them. And then he rules this planet for 1,000 years. And the idea is, from what I can understand, is that Israelites are going to be doing jobs for him, ruling with him. So it says. I didn't make that up. I don't know. Now you got to say that, well, if that's the case, that's the way it's going to be. If you read Revelation, get to chapter 20. You can read it in the whole thing in about an hour and a half, 2 hours. He says he'll bless you if you do read it. But when you're reading it, go through there, you'll realize that this city he's building, humongous city, 1,500 miles square and 1,500 miles high. Won't even fit on the continental USA. It'd be out in the Gulf. But anyway, when you read that and you say that gates and the pearls and the steps and all this stuff, and there's so many steps for the 12 apostles, and pretty soon you're thinking, what are we talking about here? We're talking about Israelites in this city, being represented in this city and all kinds of things. Now, if that don't curl the hair on some people, say, what do you mean? They're going to run a thing for eternity? God's not a man. He does things totally different than we think. Not totally, but we don't understand it. And his ways are much, much better than our way. His ways are perfect. There's no mistakes. Oh, I've talked here for 33 minutes. That's a little too much. But, so what? We got to talk about it sometime. I'm really glad if you listen this long. I'd like to see you subscribe if you would. That would give me some hope. Yes, and hopefully we can meet again someday. And in the meantime, I wish you God's blessing, and it's really a good thing to say to another person is God bless you, because that's a good thing to say. Anyway, talk to you later.